All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the KYCA PM show. Hey, did you miss me? It was only 24 hours ago we had Kwong Win in here, and I promised I'd be back, or threatened, or however you want to say it. But here we are again, and this is going to be the second of 3 straight shows for me. Did you really want that? I don't know. I didn't, but there it is. So tomorrow night, Karen Fan is on assignment, so I'll be in, and we are looking forward to having James Haight from Victory Wealth Management in to talk about Socktober, and we've been hearing quite a bit about that. It's been a great charity that's been going on. They're collecting socks for the homeless, and they already have over 2,000 pairs and counting. So he's going to tell us all about that tomorrow. And also, we have Badger football on Thursday evening. The Badgers are at Bradshaw Mountain. This is going to be a game. It's really going to be something. Game time 7, pregame 6:45. We're going to be in the bleachers on the visitors' side, so come on over and wave at John and say hello. But don't get in his way because he's going to be watching the game. So 6:45, 7 o'clock kickoff Thursday night at Prescott Valley at Bradshaw Mountain. So we're looking forward to the game, and that is really going to be a big one for the Badgers. And, of course, you're probably asking yourself, as we've been hearing from John and from others on the air the last few weeks, what is the team? We've been promoting the team. Not telling you. I'll whisper it to you at some point. You'll probably know next week, folks, so hang in there. But what is the team? You're going to find out. Okay. Now that we've got all the jocularity out of the way, it's time for some serious, silly stuff, and that is the election. It's the silly season, and, of course, we have Michelle Burchell, Yavapai County Recorder, in to straighten us out, answer the questions, and tell us just how busy it is down there.
It's exhausting.
She's been telling us how horrible it has been because it has been crazy. But, Michelle, I can tell you this. I do know that you have probably the best staff in the whole state. I think you would agree with that.
Absolutely. Couldn't do it without them.
And you guys have been doing some great work over there because I know from day one, this in the general election, you have been overwhelmed over there by what's been going on. So we're going to talk about all of that and what voters need to know. Gosh, we're 2 weeks away.
I know, it's scary.
It's getting crazy. So if anybody out there has a question, 928-541-1016, that is our number. And, of course, we welcome your calls and any questions you have for Michelle or myself. Nobody ever asked me a question. If you have any information or any questions about voting, and folks, pay attention because if you haven't voted already, you're going to want to hear today what's going on. And if you have voted, you're still going to want to hear it. So I guess the big thing is, Michelle, I know you've been busy.
Very busy.
What are some of the numbers? I know you came
Okay.
armed and ready to go.
So I did come with some fun numbers here.
Okay.
First thing I can say is Yavapai is coming out hot.
Wow.
We are engaged voters, as we always are. I do not think we will disappoint as far as being our highest voter turnout in the state. As of last night, I had 3,800 people who voted early in person, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had almost 43,000 ballots that had been received, which means we've actually scanned them in as received. As of today, right before I left here, we had at least 12,000 more ballots that came into our office. So we are definitely over the 50,000 mark, probably closer to 60,000. But we're coming in at such volumes that we can't keep up. We physically cannot keep up. I had staff at the office till 9 o'clock last night.
Oh.
And by 6 a.m., they were back in there, and we are just moving and grooving.
And I know we keep saying, okay, 2 weeks to Election Day, and we know it's going to be busy, but that's a long way from when you folks are finally going to be finished.
Right.
There's a lot to do after Election Day, too.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk to you about that. But first and foremost, okay, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, we've seen some things in some past elections where we have a big turnout at the very beginning because people get their ballots and the early birds really want to get their ballots in and finished.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have a lull, and then we have a big mad dash for the end, and then in-person voting on the day of.
Right.
Are you seeing any kind of a lull yet?
We are not seeing a lull. It's been really, really consistent. As far as drop boxes, we have had to actually empty drop boxes 3 times in a day, which we've never had to do before.
Wow.
Literally overfilling. So we have additional teams out, especially on those high volume ones.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the Fair Street one, Prescott Valley, Chino is rocking right now. So we are we are seeing record early movement right
Wow.
now, and it's really, really great to see.
And how much of the problem of your overstuffed drop boxes is the fact that you are double sizing on the ballots this time? Do you think that's contributing?
No, I
Okay.
would say it's pure volume. Obviously, each envelope is a little bit thicker, but this
Right.
is really voter turnout at this point, and
Wow.
it's really been amazing. Even our in-person early voting, it's been consistent. There's not a time that, oh, we get a quiet minute, let's stop and chat. I've been visiting our early voting sites, and it's very consistent, and I haven't seen it slow down yet.
Do you think you have, and I'm talking about in-person voting, are
Hmm.
we seeing consistently lines as well?
Yes.
How much of a wait do you think?
Um, I wouldn't say more than maybe 15, 20 minutes. The very first day, we came out strong.
Right.
So we did have more of a wait because it's just getting used to our temporary people getting used to, the process. But the other issue is these are very long ballots. Anybody that's already voted or has received a ballot in the mail, I mean, it's 17 inches long and it's both sides, 2 pages. So, really, 4 full pages to actually vote when you count front and back. And I was sitting at the Prescott Valley location the second day of early voting, October 10th. And there was one man that came in, and he obviously didn't come prepared. And he took an hour and 20 minutes. He was
Ooh.
in a voting booth for an hour and 20 minutes. And I'm gauging this, right? Because we have to be prepared for what comes on election day. We keep saying it's like a restaurant.
Okay.
We're all waiting outside Texas Roadhouse, and it's an hour long wait. And you see all these tables that have already gotten their check, already paid their bill, but they're just hanging out, doing their thing, visiting with their family. And we can't kick them out. We can't say, hey, your time is up. So, it's not even as much of a delay for, us getting them processed, but now there's the delay of the length of time it takes each voter to vote. So, election day, we're saying have a plan, be prepared for lines, be patient.
Okay.
We've gotten additional voting booths for every vote center. We've even done it with early voting, but even with that, if you are choosing to wait till election day, just be prepared and be patient.
Go early.
Go
That
early.
may be the thing.
Help us. So many people in the community say, what can we do to help you?
There you go.
If you want to help me and help our elections department be successful this year, help your own political party, whatever that is, get it done early. Those 8 o'clock results are going to be everybody that came out early. And if you really want to create a mess, you're going to be holding on to that late ballot, your late mail-in ballot, and drop it in on election day or the day before.
Ooh.
And that really clogs up the system. So if you and my community, my Yavapai voters can help me in any way, especially if you vote by mail, get that ballot back to me by next Friday, November 1st, so it can be go through the process and we can have your results on 8 p.m. and your ballot can be included in that.
Okay. And I think you were saying before we came on the air here, you're really starting to discourage people from just dropping it in the mail at this point.
Yes. So we are getting reports of a lot of people throughout the state who are on the active early voter list or voting by mail who have not received their ballots. And our ballots in Yavapai County for those who are on the early voting list were mailed out October 9th. And I would say we're having a consistent amount of calls of people that still have not received that ballot. I know that there are other journalists right now that are asking around, hey, are you having issues with USPS? Anybody who's heard me speak, I am not trying to bash the mail, but we're a rural community and those ballots need to leave, go down to Phoenix and come back up. And with the volume of people voting by mail, I think that's creating some disruption there.
Okay.
And maybe some, issues. So if you have a mail ballot, you want to get it mailed back to me as soon as possible, but if you're asking my personal opinion on it, I would rather you be dropping it off in a drop box or even at an early voting location right now. Don't hold it till last minute. Don't mail it last minute because we will not be able to count it. We are not a postmark state. It
Yeah.
has to be in my possession by 7 p.m. on election night.
Okay, a quick question, and I want to get this answered before we go to a break. I know, Scotty, we need to go, but just a moment. We had a caller who called in. They were in a vehicle. They couldn't hang on, but hopefully they're still listening. Their question is, when will we receive the sample ballots in the mail to use when voting in person? Are you mailing sample ballots?
The elections department actually mailed those out on Friday.
Okay.
So sample ballots go out 11 days before election day. Lauren always tries to get it a few days before that. A lot of people will ask us, why don't we get sample ballots, say, a month before when you start early voting?
Mhm.
But the sample ballots only go to households that do not have a vote by mail person in it, because when you have your vote by mail ballot, you can actually take time to research based on your actual ballot.
Mm.
So sample ballots get mailed to election day voters, or those who do not receive a ballot by mail. So lots of people actually came in today with their sample ballots already prepared to vote. So I would expect most people to get them today, tomorrow, maybe Thursday the latest. Again, it depends on the mail,
It
but you should have it this week.
it's not a lot of people. Most people go by mail, as I understand, but you do have a significant amount who opt out, as I understand.
Right. Yes. I would say we're about 80% who are on the AVIL. And then there's always the non-AVIL voters or active early voter list voters, male voters,
Mhm.
that actually will call and ask for a one-time ballot. So they don't want to dedicate being on vote by mail, but they want to receive this ballot in the mail. So
Mm.
that's why we'll see that uptick in mail ballots at the end, because all those one-offs. So we'll have several thousand people that say, hey, give me a ballot just for this election for whatever the circumstance is. But they're
Okay.
not on the permanent or active list.
Interesting. Okay. We're learning a lot here, and I tell you, every election I learn more. It's
Mhm.
just amazing what you folks have to go through and to make sure that this goes smoothly.
Yep.
And the fact is, as I understand, and I think we've touted this before, you folks really are at Yavapai County a benchmark for the entire state.
We do our best.
Well, that's what I've heard, so that's great. Okay, Michelle, we're going to pause on this for a break here on KYC on the PM show. 928-541-1016. That is our number if you have a question on anything, including, oh my goodness, I haven't received a ballot. What do I do? Or anything at all. Now's your chance. Okay, folks, we'll take a break. Back after this. And we're back here on the KYCA PM show, 928-541-1016. We've got Michelle Burchell here, Yavapai County Recorder, who, by the way, is running for office, but running unopposed, as I understand. Is that
That's
correct?
the rumor.
And as I understand, also, that means you have to sit on the sidelines sometimes.
Yes, this is no fun. That's why I'm here with you instead of doing signature verification or something else, using my hands and making myself useful.
There you go. So, folks, she's not falling down on the job. She's doing her job right now. So if you didn't want to call the government, you can call us here at 928-541-1016. We will get as many questions answered as we can, and let's go ahead and go to line 1. And Al is on the air. Al, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm sitting on the beach.
All right.
Nice.
Good for you.
I'm up in Oceanside, but I got to listen to the PM show.
There you go. Okay, what's the question, Al?
Well, we got our early ballots in the mail,
Okay.
and my neighbor didn't get his, and he's freaking out.
Really?
He's like, what should I do? What should I do? And I go, well, why don't you call the elections office? Call Michelle.
Absolutely.
So-
if you haven't
so-
received your ballot, you
So
want to give us a call.
I heard you talk about it. People aren't getting their ballots, but what should people do?
Okay.
Okay, so if you have not received your ballot yet, you have until this Friday to request a new ballot. And what that means is we would actually make the current ballot that is out there in the universe a dead ballot, which means whether it gets to you, whether it's lost somewhere, it will not be able to be returned because we actually invalidate the unique barcode on it. They can call us at 928-771-3248, extension 9. But I would highly recommend, because our phones are going off the hook and you're going to be on hold for quite a while, you can actually email us a request at voter.registration@yavapiaz.gov and say, hey, this is my full name, this is my address, and we will ask you for a birth date to make sure you're the proper person. And we can actually mail you out a replacement ballot. But make sure you do that early now.
Come by the office and pick up a ballot?
We will not allow anybody to pick up a ballot. It has to be mailed because of the tracking, the requirements of it. But if you're coming all the way to the office, just vote while you're there. Right there in person. So you can actually do that. But we do not hand out ballots over the counter.
Okay, so if his ballot's lost in the mail, he didn't get it, he can go vote in person.
Absolutely.
And he can do that anytime now.
Correct. Preferably.
And at whatever locations are available.
Yep.
Okay.
Is there one in Prescott Valley?
Yes, absolutely. So we can, if depending on where you live, you can vote in person in Cottonwood. You could come to Prescott Valley. We're actually, we have a small room across from the entrance to the library, or come on over to my office on Fair Street and you can vote in person early. It's a traditional in-person voter experience. And that way we just ensure that you get your ballot cast.
And they'll give him a ballot and he can vote.
That's it. And the other ballot will be canceled as soon as a voter checks in. So no matter where it is.
What if somebody's already voted on that ballot? Somebody down in Maricopa County voted for the communist.
Well, we would definitely find that out. That has not happened yet, as far as somebody coming in and saying, I didn't vote this ballot. So that hasn't happened. If it did, we're going to figure out what's going on, and we're going to be reporting that to authorities immediately.
And so are they just losing the ballots, or do you know what's happening
To be
them?
perfectly honest with you,
report?
I think maybe the volume of people voting early in Arizona, going through the USPS, probably is creating kind of a backup. But I truly don't know. I am not a part of the postal system, so I don't know what the malfunction is.
Yeah,
it's just
scary,
rough. It's rough.
It's one of the. I think it's just one of the failures. One of the failures that we have of vote by mail, and it's not necessarily Yavapai. It's just everywhere, especially when you have such a big election as this one is.
Right.
You know, you have to be careful of that. And so, again, that's where Michelle and other county recorders have the ability to have you vote in person.
Right.
And you have other means of getting this done. And then, of course, there's Election Day. So,
Yes, there's always a backup, but I definitely our voters in Yavapai, they're paying attention. All ballots were mailed out on October 9th. So if you haven't
Yeah.
received it yet, you want to give us a call, give us an email, or just go vote in person and get it out of the way would be probably the most ideal situation at this point.
okay. So there you go, Al.
Okay. Well, hey, thank you very much.
Thank you, Al.
Thanks for calling in. We've
Yeah.
got time. Do we have time for another caller real quick? Let's go ahead because this guy has a lot of questions.
Okay.
All right, Steve, come on on. Come on. How you doing? Miss
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing good, Mr. Blair. How
Hi, Steve.
there you go.
Hi, Michelle. I'm just right out here on Williamson Valley Road, and I just want to let you know the day I got my ballot, I voted, and I came down to the fair office and dropped it in the box. It was perfect. That's the way it should be. I have a business, and 2 days in a row, I didn't get mail service, and I was told by my lawyer that and the bottom line was they had people on vacation, people that were sick, and didn't have people to deliver the mail.
Wow.
So that should be a calling card to most people out there to know that the government can't do anything right, and don't trust the mail delivery for your vote.
Yep. So vote in person, turn in your ballot, don't put it back in the mail, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Now, and I appreciate the voter's guide. I went in and marked all that up. I appreciate Karen Fan going through it all, and I went through all mine and my suggestions I heard, and I went through my own personal opinion. When I got my ballot in, it took me literally 5 minutes to mark all my selections and drop them in the mail the next morning. I was done.
That's great.
That's great. Yes, that's probably a record time. So definitely, voters out there, educate yourselves, get yourselves prepared because it's a long ballot. You got some homework to do.
But, a lot of people say, well, we're waiting for the October surprise, or we're waiting for something that might change my mind. I got to really tell you, in this election and all the propositions, there's really nothing that would change my mind. So I wanted to get my vote in, get it counted, get it into your system.
Awesome.
I tracked it on the website. I'm all good, and that's what everybody else needs to do as well.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
All right. Thanks, Blair.
You
Appreciate
guys
it.
Have a good day.
All right. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. All right. That's the end of the first half of the show.
All righty.
It went quick, Michelle.
Super
All right.
quick.
Okay. So more questions, 928-541-1016. Back after this. Okay, we're back here on the KYCA PM show. Jason Zinzilieta along with Michelle Burchell, Yavapai County Recorder, 928-541-1016. Claudia, we're going to get to you in just a minute. One of the big things we wanted to talk about was mistakes and problems that people can avoid and what they need to also be watching out for. So after you've seen the first few weeks of the ballots coming back in and in-person voting, what's the big takeaway so far?
So I actually got a list from my employees before I came here of what are the things we really want to let people know about.
Yep.
So obviously sample ballots are out as of last Friday, so you're getting those this week. Third parties, you're going to obviously have our local political parties contacting you, which is great because they're working with us. They know your information. But you're going to receive calls, texts, emails, flyers, all these things. I had a lady today who came in and said, I just received this text saying I'm not registered to vote, but I already voted. And then we clicked on it together and it said, please go to any voting location in Maricopa County. She's not even a Maricopa County voter. So you're going to get some confusing information out there. We are not sending this information out. Some of it can actually make it look like it's coming from my office. I highly recommend if you need to fill out a form, a new registration form, if it's not with your local political party, Yavapai County political parties, or my office, don't fill it out because you are putting personal information on there. Don't reply to text with personal information because there are bad actors out there. Big things I'm getting asked about. I made a mistake on my ballot. I marked yes and I meant to mark no.
Okay.
Our system is set up to where if somebody makes a mistake, the system's going to flag us and we have to put human eyes on that ballot and actually look for what did the voter intend or mean. Arizona is what's called a voter intent state. So if you clearly make a mistake, say you vote yes for a proposition, but you wanted to vote no, it's going to, if you vote no and you vote yes, mark out put an X or a line across that clearly shows your intent was not to make that selection. And we will put human eyes on it and say, yes, Jason actually is showing us he did not want the yes, he wanted the no. And we can actually do that process through adjudication.
Okay.
If you're not comfortable with that, you can ask for a replacement ballot, not any further after Friday, but you can actually come vote a new ballot in person as long as you haven't turned in that spoiled ballot. And as soon as you do that, the spoiled ballot or the one with the mistake is a dead ballot. It cannot be used again. Our system is set up not to allow that. Mm-hmm. So that is okay. Another one I'm getting asked about is your signatures. Make sure you sign the affidavit envelope, obviously, and use your authentic signature. I just had a man come in yesterday who said, I got a call saying my signature isn't correct. I wrote it very neatly. And I said, well, what'd you go do that for? We want you to actually sign it the way you sign because we're looking for your individual characteristics of how you sign. If somebody was forging, they're probably going to do it really nice and neatly, thinking that's what we're looking for. And then the pull tabs. So under that signature, we have a little secrecy tab. Some people are accidentally ripping it off or had to rip it off because they forgot to sign. That is okay. It's really just for comfort of the voter. If you're not comfortable sending your ballot back through the mail, which I don't suggest anyways, if you're putting in a ballot box, it's okay that your signature is exposed because it's our eyes that are seeing it from there.
Okay.
Those are my big ones.
All right. Now, another question. Either I have spoiled a ballot or I have finished my ballot and I really don't want to put it in a drop box. Can I bring it to a vote center for early voting? What happens then? What's the procedure for that?
So if you aren't comfortable putting it in an outside drop box, you could drop it at, again, any of our early voting locations right now. We will be open through November 1st at 7 p.m. at night. So you could drop it off at any of those locations. You can walk inside and put it in the ballot box that's right there where people are voting. And that will be brought back to our office and we will treat it as a vote by mail ballot like all others. We're still going to signature verify and make sure everything is what it needs to be. I just, again, if you could do anything for me out there, my voters, don't hold on to it and drop it off on election day,
Right.
because I can't count it until the next day. And then it has to go through all of the process of counting them, pulling the tabs, doing the signature verification, and everything is on a pause at that point. And then you same people, 14,591 of you that did it for the primary election, are going to be saying, why are you taking so long to count these votes? So help us be the ones to come out the gate and get it done early, and help us to be the ones to be done counting earlier than everyone else by doing that. If you're an early voter, vote early. If you're an election day voter, walk in, get a ballot that day, and do it the traditional way. But don't wait till last minute with those late mail ballots.
And as I understand, last minute is any time after Friday at 7 p.m. So
That's right.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Yes.
It's
Because
the
we're
same problem.
already going to get a bunch of those in the mail. So all of my other late stragglers are not doing me any favors.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break here on KYCA. We're going to come back through a couple of questions. Claudia on line 1, hang in there. You're first up. And we also have a question from an off-air caller as well. And, of course, the number is 928-541-1016. Back after. And we're back here on the KYCA PM show, 928-541-1016. Let's get straight to the phones. I know Claudia has been waiting and has been very patient. So, Claudia, you're on the air.
Yes, I received my ballot in the mail, and I researched everything and voted last Thursday, and I take it right to the office on Fair Street. In fact, I go upstairs to the second floor and put it in that box because I'm kind of paranoid about putting it anywhere outside.
Sure.
And my question is, I know when you vote early and it's a ballot you've received by mail, they have to check your signatures and everything. But my question is, at that time, can they count your vote, or does it go somewhere else in the office and wait until Election Day? I wasn't sure if some states can start counting early, and if Arizona is one of those, or maybe I'm completely wrong, and they can't count early anywhere. The other question is there a website you can go to see if your ballot has been received?
Okay.
Yes. So yes and yes. So Claudia, if you dropped it on the second story drop box, it's right outside of the area where all the magic happens.
Right.
So
That's why I go there.
right. So it's about 5 feet away from our door into the signature verification and processing room. And then from there, that's where we scan it in as received. That's what the status would be for your ballot at that point. And then after it is signature verified, and it will turn to accepted, which means it's now going to the tabulation. And Lauren, the elections director, started tabulating yesterday. So we pretty much will be tabulating, I think, every morning. We have a tabulation schedule on our website at yavapai to let everybody know this is the time that we're actually doing counting, because you can watch us on the live stream, again, yavapaivotes.gov. And a lot of people ask us, do we see the results? We know how many ballots have went through the tabulator because it's tracking that,
Okay.
but we do not know the actual aggregated results. So there's actually a timer in the system, and new legislation happened last year that requires us now to put what are our slog logs, our system logs, on our website. So we post them within 48 hours, and it shows pretty much the time that the elections director pushed that button to say aggregate the results. So we literally know a few minutes before the rest of you know, because we can't put those out until that time. And all those results at that time are everything that we've gotten processed and tabulated through the Saturday before the election. So yes, we do that. And then you can track the status of your ballot at my.arizona, spelled out, .vote. my.arizona.vote. When you get on there, you have to put some personal information. It will take you to your voter history, your account, and there's an option to say check the status or track my early ballot.
Okay. Well, thank you. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you're allowed to at least start tabulating. And I didn't realize several years ago that, the process, and so that I used to turn it in on election day or 1 or 2 days before, but now I wanted to make sure I got it in early. So.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all you do.
Thanks, Claudia. And that's one. That's a great
Yeah,
thing.
that's one. I like it.
All right. We had a question offline very quickly. And, of course, the call, we'll take a few more calls if anybody wants to ask a question, 928-541-1016. We had a caller off the air who was simply asking, what is being done to guarantee that no illegal voters get to vote? What's the procedure?
So when they say illegal voters, are they meaning somebody that's just not registered, not allowed, or are they meaning illegal voters as in illegal non-citizen voting?
Let's start with that one. That seems to be the most popular question these days when it comes to that.
So everybody that's paying attention, obviously, to what's happening on our border, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a problem. So when a voter in Arizona, and by the way, Arizona actually has some of the strictest voter registration laws in the United States. Arizona voters had passed Prop 200 way back in 2004, requiring if you want to vote in state or local elections in Arizona, you have to show documented proof of citizenship. There's obviously a hiccup with that right now with the MVD that is going through the court system, and that's a whole different story.
Right.
But federal law does not require you to show DPOC or documented proof of citizenship. So we have two different laws, two different rules that we are working with. So Arizona actually has a bifurcated system because of this. And I believe we're the only state that actually has this right now. And we see many states are hopping on our train and trying to do something similar and following our lead here.
Okay.
So if you register to vote in Arizona, we are going to ask you for documented proof of citizenship, which means we want a birth certificate or something proving that you are a U.S. citizen. If you do not have that documented proof of citizenship, federal law says as long as you attest on your form that you are a U.S. citizen, that's all they want. That's all they care about. That they feel like that is enough because you are signing this under penalty and perjury.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we have to allow you to be a federal voter and vote in federal elections. And everybody knows that is Congress and the president.
Right.
In our county, we average about 300 federal voters at any given time. Those federal voters drop off the list and then more come in. If you think about it, say you're coming from California. In California, you didn't have to show proof of citizenship to register to vote. And then you come here and say, hey, I want to register. It's the last day to get registered. I didn't know I need this. So we have to make you a federal voter and then tell you, hey, you need to get us this information. So someone will come, they will get us the information. We make them a full voter. They drop off the list and then another couple comes right behind them. So it's a fluid list. People for the primary election. I had 16 federal voters vote in that election. So it's not a high amount. And again, probably I'd say most of those 16 are probably full voters now because they realized when they looked at their ballot, there wasn't much to it and they wanted to have a say in this election.
Right. So there it is. So there's that. As for others, it's just a matter of making sure that felons don't vote or things
Right,
like
it's
that.
following the rules. You
Yeah.
know, you have deadlines. You have to be over 18. You can't be a convicted felon. You can't be mentally determined by the court to be mentally incapacitated.
There you go.
So all of those things, we look at, all of it the same. You have to be a legal voter, and that is, falling within those guidelines.
Okay, there you go. All right, we're going to take our last break here on KYCA 928-541-1016. We might have time for another call. If not, we'll just chat about the election. All right, we'll be back after that. And we're back here on the KYCA PM show. Jason Zinzilieta, Michelle Burchell from the Yavapai County Recorder's Office. And I'm glad you even remember your name at this point. I know it's been
No
busy.
kidding.
It's
No
been,
kidding.
It's been crazy. So In terms of volume, and I know, like you say, we're facing the biggest volume ever simply because of the sheer number of pages that we're talking about, plus that this is a general election. One thing that really surprised me when I got here back in the 80s, one thing that we really heard, and again, thank you, Tim Carter, we appreciate that as my civics teacher, that we consistently voted in the 90% plus side turnout for big elections, for general elections, and sometimes even for primary elections as well. This is a very active community.
Yep.
And so as a result, I know your people are prepared, but sometimes they're just not. It's just amazing how it goes, I guess. Has this election surprised you based on what you've seen in the past?
It hasn't surprised me because I'm reading the room. I am reading the voters, but you think about it in our perspective, we prepare for every possible scenario, right? We're looking for, what if this happens? What if the electricity goes down? What if the lights are off? What if there's a storm? Whatever the circumstances. So what I didn't prepare for was COVID again. I kid you not, my registrar of voters, my MVP, Matt Weber, who everybody knows and loves, literally got COVID last week and was dying.
Ooh.
So we had to kick him out of the office. And the next day, one of my other leads, COVID. The next day, another seasonal, COVID. So we were down 3 people within the first 3 days.
Ooh.
And talk about not a good time.
Oh, yeah.
So we have been having to kind of tailor, things because you don't prepare for everybody to drop like flies the first week of voting, especially when you consider how many, if this was a traditional election, we'd be like, okay, like the volume's there, but not too crazy. But this is, we're out the gate. This is a third already voted. And
Wow.
I'm probably underestimating right now because I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Right.
But 50,000 plus, and just those 3 people not being able to show up for that full week really stung. And then take me. I'm normally one that's there doing it too. So here's a 4th.
Yep.
So that's been a little rough. It has not been easy. We are just working and doing everything the best we can, but obviously we need to make sure that everything is being done by the book and with accuracy. So I ask everybody, give us a little grace, give us a little patience. If you're on the phone, if you're waiting in line, just give us a little patience because Yavapai votes, and we are here for you, and we are going to make sure every one of those ballots gets counted, but give us a little grace on getting it done right now because it's been a rough start.
You can believe it.
It has.
Well, and folks, you've got to remember, yes, you're voting a big ballot. You're voting
Ballot.
in an extremely important election, but you're only doing this once. These folks at the recorder's office have already done it 30,000 times.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's just been a lot. Again, the biggest thing, luckily with our voters, again, they're always asking us, what can we do?
Yes.
How can we help? And we are so fortunate that we have the volunteers, we have the seasonal staff, obviously besides COVID, but we have the staff available. We have the poll workers available. Our political parties have been great to work with. It always feels like, in other places we see like we're the enemy, right? We're behind this, closed off wall. But here in Yavapai, like I feel like we're all on the same team. I don't care who you're voting for. I don't care which side you're on. You're there to help us. We're here to count your vote. Whatever that vote is, we respect that. And I feel very blessed that our community does show us grace. And when we make mistakes, we let you know it. And we say, oh my gosh, this happened or that happened. And, people will give us that little bit of, grace when we show humility and we take accountability for it. So we're doing the best we can and we're playing by the rules. Our biggest thing is we're following the law.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that every Yavapai County voter that chooses to vote in this election has that opportunity.
Okay, 90 seconds left. Very quickly, the most important thing people need to know, and maybe a website or two.
YavapaiVotes.gov if you want any election information on where to vote, when to vote. my.arizona.vote. Check your registration status. If you have changed your address within this last couple weeks, you're probably going to have to fill out another registration form when you get into the office to vote. Track your ballot. Make sure that we've received it. As long as it says received, everything else will work itself out. My.arizona.vote. If you need a replacement ballot, you have until Friday. So you got to get us that information immediately. You can call us at 928-771-3248, extension 9. Or email us is even better at voter.registration@yavapai.az.gov. But at this point with the mail, I would rather, if you needed a new or replacement ballot, just come to our office in person and just vote while you're there. That's going to be the safest bet at this point.
Okay, there you go, folks. So get out there, get voting. I don't have to say that. They're already doing it. Michelle, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
And, of course, you're welcome out here. You need to get the word out on anything else. We're here for you. Okay, guys, thanks for joining us tonight, guys, gals, everybody. I appreciate you. And Blair, too. Okay, thanks for calling in. And tomorrow night, of course, James Haight here on KYCA PM. And I want to thank you all for your patience and also, as Michelle has said, your active voting in this county. Make us proud. Make us a benchmark for the country.